Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing Shong. Chapter 319. Taste of Ruin. Part 4. I was able to come here thanks to the message sent by Han Soo-young. I already knew that Han Soo-young took the old to new toad. It would be odd if I was ignorant of her stealing an item. I want to screw with the prophet. Will you come? I was just going to check the auction house, so it didn't take long. Anna Croft had moved as I expected. You came. You came at the right timing? Messages came from the midday tryst at the same time. There was temporary confusion, and Yoo Jong-hyuk and Han Soo-young glanced at each other. What? I should say that. You have midday tryst as well? I couldn't help smiling at the two snarling people. I looked ahead and saw Anna Croft's completely lose expression. I formed a fist and provoked her. What are you doing? 3 million coins, please. It was our first meeting after the Gourmet Association. Selena Kim stood next to Anna Croft and nodded lightly to me. Anna Croft furrowed her brow and asked, Demon King of Salvation, you are the contributor of this product? That's right. No, you shouldn't be able to acquire this level of item. It is an item that can only be obtained in the late scenarios. She was still denying reality. I glanced at the Dakibi instead of answering. The Dakibi spoke. The contributor is Constellation Demon King of Salvation, who belongs to Kim Dokja's company. The confirmation result is correct. Anna Croft became paler once the Dakibi testified to the fact. 3 million coins. At the present time, there wasn't a single incarnation with such a large number of coins in the star stream. It was a lot of money and was also a burden for some narrative-grade constellations. In the distance, Han Soo-young twitched. Hey, you will give me a share of the 3 million coins, right? You wouldn't have received this money if it wasn't for me. Anna Croft's fist trembled. She glanced at Selena Kim before turning back to me. I'm sorry, but I can't give you the winning bid. Anna Croft's expression gradually returned to normal. Rather than receiving the item, I will pay the penalty. The prophet made a choice. It was currently difficult for her to obtain 3 million coins. Moreover, her desire to buy the item disappeared after knowing the 3 million coins would enter my hands. Your understanding of the character Anna Croft has increased. I nodded and said, well, do as you please. Han Soo-young glared at me. Hey, are you crazy? It is 3 million coins. This is good for us. As Anna Croft mentioned, the old to new toad was a very useful item, especially when I thought about the upcoming Gigantomachia. It was better to have an item than 3 million coins. The senior Dakibi spoke. The penalty is 500,000 coins, which is the initial bid. Besides, I received 500,000 coins without giving anything. I was grateful. Anna Croft thought of something for a moment before slowly pulling out the coins. However, she took out 1 million coins, not 500,000 coins. Demon King of Salvation, do you want to make a bet with me? A bet? I don't want to. I heard that you like to bet. It is disappointing to hear you refuse so easily. I laughed at the childish provocation. This was suddenly funny. Anna Croft continued speaking, if you win the bet, I'll give you 1 million coins, which is double the amount. 1 million, then if you win? This story never happened and we will each go our own way. You won't lose any money. I saw Anna Croft's red eyes and recalled a sentence from Ways of Survival. Anna Croft was a gifted gambler. Long before the scenario began, she was called the Prophet of Las Vegas. I opened my mouth. Why should I if I don't lose anything? I will get 500,000 coins even if I do nothing. Why should I agree to a strange gamble? You must be afraid to lose. Well, you will get a losing story if you lose to me. Look at this. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is paying attention to your choice. The constellation Secretive Plotter is focused on your choice. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire wants you to refuse the bet. Anna Croft's smile widened like she heard the indirect messages in the channel. Demon King of Salvation. Your constellations are watching. Many constellations are curious about your choice. Some constellations are condemning your cowardice. She was a clever woman. In the period before gigantomachia, the opinion of the constellations was important. I could make allies, reinforcements, or enemies, depending on my actions. By the way, this provocation. I grinned and opened my mouth. I'm not afraid. I just don't like the betting conditions. Anna Croft's eyes widened. The constellation Dragon Lying Down is interested in your words. Conditions. Do you want to add more to the bet? The coins are only that much. I would like to add one more condition. One more condition. If I win, release the Lord and Vassal pledge hanging on Selena King. The constellation Friend of Justice and Harmony is shocked by your words. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is nodding at your words. Selena Kim's eyes shook. Perhaps Selena Kim had been bound during the proof of the stars before coming to the context of the constellations. There was no way Anna Croft would have someone beside her that she couldn't control. Anna Croft looked confused. Demon King of Salvation. That. Can't you free Selena Kim if you borrow the probability of Asgard? It would be a significant burden on Anna Croft to liberate the Lord and Vassal relationship formed during Proof of the Stars. The fact that she made the Lord and Vassal relationship in the first place was evidence that she didn't fully trust Selena Kim. Anna Croft struggled for a while before replying, "Okay." Selena Kim stared at me with surprised eyes. Then Bayou's voice was heard from the air. But a number of constellations are requesting the bet scenario. The request of the constellations has been accepted. A new sub-scenario has arrived. Plus. Sub-scenario Entertainment of Ruin, category, sub. Difficulty? Clear conditions. Anna Croft and the Demon King of Salvation have made a bet. The subscribers and incarnations can make a bet on who will win. Time limit. Compensation, dividends will be distributed based on your percentage of the winning bet. Failure. Plus. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband has bet 50,000 coins. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon has bet 50,000 coins. The constellation Bald General of Justice has bet 1,000 coins. Interestingly, this scenario was a scenario where beings other than Anna Croft and myself could participate. The startled Han Soo-young spoke through Midday Tryst. Hey! What are you thinking? Just bet some coins. To who? You? I spoke towards Anna Croft. Tell me about the bet. It's simple. Anna Croft threw the coin that read 1 million into the air. The coin rose to over 30 meters in the sky and stayed there. You just need to grab the coin with your hand. The constellations were shocked when they heard the contents of the bet. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is surprised. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is asking for his coins to be returned. Han Soo-young frowned. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is avoiding the gaze of incarnation Han Soo-young. The coin had a floating skill and hovered in place. At first glance, it was a simple and easy bet. I just had to jump using my skills and grab the coin. However, the simplicity of the bet meant there was a pitfall. Han Soo-young told me. Hey, Kim Dokja. It is a trap. Don't make the bet. I knew it already. This Anna Croft would never make a losing bet. Do you agree with the bet contents? Okay. The formation of the bet has been completed. I looked at the coin spinning in the air. In a situation where many constellations were watching, she couldn't have done anything strange to that coin. This meant the coin itself wasn't the trap and the trap was elsewhere. The exclusive skill bookmark is activated. The exclusive skill Way of the Wind LV11+1 is activated. 30 meters was quite high, and it was almost impossible to grab that coin with my bare hands if I was an ordinary constellation. However, since the scenario started, I wasn't an ordinary person. I used Way of the Wind and jumped lightly, my body springing towards the sky. The remaining distance to the coin was 10 meters. At this moment, someone interrupted me. The probability of the nebula Olympus is responding to you. It wasn't one person. A powerful status came from all over the audience. The incarnation bodies of some constellations stood before me. Demon King of Salvation. Cancel your skill right away. I felt their status from the true voice. The ones standing in my way were from Olympus. There were 3 great-grade constellations and 1 narrative-grade constellation. I spoke in a cold voice, "What are you doing? It is forbidden to use combat skills here. Don't you know?" A familiar doll popped out from among the constellations. It was a constellation with meteorites swirling overhead. I knew this person's modifier. It was because this boy was obviously a constellation of Olympus. Wandering Terror. Someone in the audience shouted, "Wandering Terror, Phobos." It is Ares' son. The son of one of the 12 main gods of Olympus, atrocious war god. The god of terror created by war. This was Phobos, who was called Wandering Terror. I looked down at Anna Croft. It seemed this guy was the backer that Anna Croft believed in. Chapter 320. Taste of Ruin. Part 5. King of Salvation, what are you doing? Go and take the coin. Anna Croft spoke provocatively. Or maybe it wouldn't be too bad to admit defeat neatly. I slowly looked around at the constellations in the audience and then Phobos in front of me. The information of ways of survival passed through my head. The nebula that exerts the greatest power in the context of the constellations is Olympus. The nebula maximizes its power in certain areas, and the most representative one is the auction house. This was why Anna Croft could be so relaxed. The biggest event that could be reached through the context of the constellations was Gigantomachia. Thus, the organizer Olympus was the force with the strongest influence. You seem to have misunderstood something. I have no intention of fighting. Once again, you can't use skills here. Return to your seat. Otherwise, you will be bound by the authority of the legal zone. He was a person that wasn't easy to talk to. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband admires Olympus' stubbornness. If I used a skill to retrieve the skill, the constellations would exercise the authority of the legal zone. In other words, Anna Croft knew from the beginning that I couldn't use skills and made this bet. I spoke to Phobos. It is Anna Croft who used a skill first. Shouldn't you punish her first? Incarnation Anna Croft has already received permission to use skills from Olympus. Then give me permission. You can't. Why? I can't tell you the details. The auction is over and you should leave here with your party. Anna Croft was looking at me with a peculiar smile. There was no laughter in my mind. Yes, she had calculated up to here? Han Soo-young heard the story and cursed. What is this dog? Are you joking right now? Yu Jong-hyuk also pulled out the black demon sword. The bear Lee Hyun-sung made a threatening sound as he banged his gloves together. I warned Han Soo-young. Stop the party. Don't move at all. What? Hey, this is ridiculous. If we don't move now, if we fight here, we will be doing what they want. You are going to play her game? Can't I? I waved my hand in a reassuring manner and looked back at Phobos. Then I'll take the coin as scheduled. What? At the same time, I used a skill. The giant story Demon World Spring has begun. I suddenly opened the giant story and the complexion of the constellations turned white. He didn't know I would open this, and the startled Phobos shouted. Demon King of Salvation. I don't know what you're thinking, but you're making a mistake. A mistake? What mistake? This is the legal zone of my nebula. Don't you know that when you start a riot, you will be bound by probability? I took a breath and immediately replied with my true voice. So? What do you want to say? I activated electrification through bookmarks. Don't you know how much I've been holding back in the meantime? It has been from the time you messed with my fate. Phobos was the son of Ares. Perhaps this guy helped make my nasty fate. What? Try to stop me, if you have the ability. The story of the demon realm added to the magic power of electrification. The white magic power and black magic power spread like a gradient. Phobos was still unable to grasp the situation and shouted. You dare to be hostile to Olympus. Tell this to the 12 gods. I swung my fist as hard as I could towards Phobos, who was raising his status. Kim Dokja's company, I'm going to aggressively grow the company. There was an explosion in the center of the auction house, and Phobos' bloody body flew through the air. There was a bombardment of electrification, and Phobos' incarnation body screamed terribly as he was buried deep into the ground. Many constellations are astonished by your actions. The nebula Olympus has noticed your actions. I looked down at the groaning Phobos. Wandering Terror was still a narrative-grade constellation. He wasn't an easy opponent to hit. However, he was careless, because I was a constellation in a small nebula, and this was the result of his neglect. Where's the legal zone you were talking about? The dejected constellations of Olympus stared at me and stepped back. You have committed a criminal act in Olympus's legal zone. The probability restraint didn't act immediately. I activated Way of the Wind and jumped into the air, snatching the coin. 1,000,000 coins have been acquired as a scenario reward. At the same time, system messages poured out. The sub-scenario Entertainment of Ruin has ended. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is cheering. Some constellations are applauding your courage. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is concerned about your safety. The winners of the bets have sponsored you 100,000 coins. I gained 1.1 million coins with one blow. It was a very profitable business. Grab that bastard. Do it now. Some of the constellations shouted, but none of the Olympus constellations came forward. It was due to the power of the giant story that I showed. Anna Croft was watching me from the ground. Your body is light compared to the power you have, Demon King of Salvation. She lost 1 million coins, but she wasn't disappointed. It was because she knew what would happen next. Now you'll be trapped in Olympus prison. The constellations who disturbed the legal zone were imprisoned in Olympus. It also means you won't be eligible to participate in Gigantomachia. I laughed as I watched Anna Croft. I know that much. Maybe Anna Croft didn't know. I was aiming for this from the beginning. The probability of the nebula Olympus is binding you. Your incarnation will be transferred to the Court of Justice in Olympus. A bright light poured out and someone started to swallow me. Han Suyang shouted, Kim Dokja. Where are you going again? You crazy bastard. The probability of the legal zone finally started to work. All the troubles that occurred in this auction house would be handled according to the will of the local jurisdiction. I smiled at Han Suyang. I'll be back. You deliberately. I'll see you in a week. Remember what I said? Prepare well. I could hear Han Suyang shouting something. They were mostly curses. The next moment, my body disappeared in the light. There was a short dizziness from the forced dimensional movement. I opened my eyes with a small groan and saw that I was thrown into a dim darkness. By the way, I didn't come alone. Why did you come? I turned to see you, Jonghyuk, holding on to my shoulder. I can't just watch you do your crazy plans again. As expected, this guy knew what I was going to do. Those crazy plans have saved you so far. Where do you plan to die alone? I stopped talking because something appeared in the silent darkness. I turned my head and a small staircase appeared in front of our eyes. On top of this staircase were 2 thrones. 2 dolls were hanging on the throne. My skin got goosebumps just by looking at this. Even the mighty Yu Jongyuk couldn't endure it and grasped the hilt of his sword. In particular, one of the two dolls contained a great status that we couldn't measure. Demon King of Salvation, did you have to do this? The woman sitting on the throne sighed. The woman seemed to lift the darkness just by walking. I bowed towards her. The woman who descended the stairs was Persephone, queen of the darkest spring. It's been a while. Your appearance has changed again. Persephone smiled faintly at my words. I'm interested in Eden these days. You seem to like this constellation, right? Yes, I like her, but the constellation demon-like judge of fire likes your words. By the way, there is someone who is very angry with your rudeness. Do you know? I know. Anyone who has committed a transgression in Olympus' legal zone will be placed in front of the most terrible judge of Olympus. Originally, it would have been one of the judges of the underworld greeting me, not Persephone. Perhaps I would be jailed for a short time in Tartarus under a proper verdict. Nevertheless, I met Persephone instead of a judge. Maybe it was because Persephone interfered. I'm sorry, there was no other way. All portals to Olympus were blocked. Hoo-hoo, you are really cocky to shoot at the sky. The air in the area froze. The darkness solidified because of the sound. Breathing became more and more difficult and it was hard to move even a finger. It was amazing that someone's will could have such power by itself. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is making an interested expression. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is filled with a competitive spirit. The constellation Maritime War God truly feels admiration. The constellation Bald General of Justice can't close his surprised mouth. The constellations in my channel reacted violently. Perhaps it would be difficult to find anyone with a stronger status in all of the star stream. I'll introduce you, Demon King of Salvation. I turned and saw a faint light in the darkness. There was someone in the center of the rich darkness. How could I describe it in words? A man who looked like darkness itself. The obsidian eyes embedded in pure white skin seemed to penetrate into my existence. The giant story underworld has begun. One of the oldest myths in the world was looking at me. It was always mentioned together with the myth of Olympus, but in fact, it didn't belong to Olympus. The loneliest and most solitary constellation in all of ways of survival. In order to pass through this gigantomachia safely and to save you Senga, I had to surely borrow the hand of this constellation. I took a deep breath and slowly opened my mouth. King of the underworld, father of the rich knight. The knight of the underworld looked down at me. The creepy air pressured me, but I couldn't be pushed here. It was because I was here as the representative of Kim Dokja's company. Do you want to try making the real gigantomachia with me?